Hello everyone and welcome to the video, and today we're going to be talking about one of the best bleed builds in all of Elden Ring. But before we get into the video, I would like to ask you guys to not only drop a sub, but to like the video if you found the build helpful and you liked it, as well as if you guys have any suggestions for any builds you want to see in the future. You can comment down below, and the comment with the most likes, I will be making a build video out of that one, so whatever you want to see, just comment below. And another thing I do want to mention is that if you guys have any trouble getting any of the gear for the builds, or any gear for any future builds or past builds, you can go to aoa.com and get any item in the game as well as runes, any armor sets, or weapons you may need. Very helpful, and you can use code SARAH for 3% off. I'll put the link in the description. So with that being said, the first thing we always talk about is the actual gear of the build. So for this build specifically, we are running two Beastman's Occult Curved Swords. I'm currently running both of these with seppuku. However, for PvP, I noticed that it's definitely better to run the offhand one as just blood. You get a lot less damage. However, it's not always convenient to have to double buff seppuku when you're PvPing, and it could get a little bit tedious. Also in the offhand, we have a dagger that I have on there for the Bloodhound Step, and for the fashion we have the white mask. This is absolutely necessary because it gives a 10% boost whenever there is blood loss in the vicinity, and there is always blood loss in the vicinity. And then for the armor, we have the Veteran's Armor, we have the Banished, Knight Gauntlets, and the Bullgoat Greaves. For the Talismans, we have the Ritual Sword Talisman, nice boost to damage, as well as Millicent's Prothesis, and then followed by Lord of Blood's Exaltation, and last but not least, we have the Rotten Winged Sword Insignia. Now for the Flask of Wondrous Physic, we have the Thorny Crack tier, which temporarily boosts the consecutive attacks, and we have the one that boosts stamina, very helpful because this build requires a lot of stamina. For the stats of the build, we are level 150. We have 50 Vigor, 20 Mind, 35 Endurance, 13 Strength, 21 Dexterity, 10 Intelligence, 15 Faith, and 70 Arcane. For the Incantations, we have Flame Grant Me Strength, which is going to be the main buff of the build because it gives 20% increase to damage to physical attacks. And then we have Dragon Ice, which is a cold breath that you can inflict enemies with the cold status effect, which will actually reduce their damage resistance by 20%. Very good for dealing a little bit of extra damage. And then last but not least, we have the Rot Breath, which is obviously used to give people Scarlet Rot. It's nice for a little bit of extra damage over time. So now I want to talk a little bit about how the build actually works. So it's very important to know what you're doing when you're using this build and how everything kind of ties together. So one thing I want to talk about is the Talismans and how they kind of function together. The first one is the Ritual Sword Talisman. You always have to be at maximum HP, and this will boost you for a 10%, but the 10% is applied before all the other buffs, so it actually comes out to even higher than that, up to 20%, and in some cases even 30%. So it does a ton of damage, and you definitely want to have that on, so just make sure that you're always full health whenever you're attacking, and you'll be able to do tons of burst damage. Obviously for Millicent's Prothesis, it boosts our dexterity, as well as Rotten Wing Sword Insignia. They increase your attack power by quite a bit when you are hitting a lot successively, which you will be doing a lot because this is the curved sword set. And then for the last one, we have the Lord of Blood Exaltation, which boosts our attack power by 20% when there is blood loss in the area. Similar to the white mask, you're always going to have blood loss in the area, so it's very effective. As you can see here in some of these clips, the damage on this build is absolutely incredible, and honestly I believe it's a little bit better than the Rivers of Blood, just because of the fact that it does a ton of more damage. It does have a lot less range, which is unfortunate. However, the damage is really, you can't really argue with the amount of damage that it puts out, and it puts it out very quickly. I've been able to destroy people with Rivers of Blood very frequently in PvP, as well as PvE. As you can see, I destroyed the giants doing their entire 10,000 damage health bar so fast. So in my opinion, the only downsides of this build is the lack of range and the fact that it consumes tons of stamina, which can easily be avoided by just playing smart and picking and choosing your windows. However, with that being said, I still believe this is probably one of the best bleed builds in the game. I think it's neck and neck with Rivers of Blood, and the fact that I've been able to consistently beat people that were using Rivers of Blood with this build and pretty much one-shot anyone that I was able to get the first combo on, I would say that this is probably a little bit better and edges it out a little bit. The damage is phenomenal. However, there is one thing I want to mention, and that is the fact that you can actually substitute these curved swords with maybe the scavenger curved swords, which come with they come default with a little bit of blood scaling, so it does help out a little bit. But other than that, this is one of the highest DPS curved swords in the game, and you can do so much damage. I think it's over 1300 a hit without the blood loss proc, which, I mean, when I was fighting Melania, brought it up to over 8,000 sometimes. So the damage is incredible. Definitely something you guys should try out. But with that being said, that's pretty much it for today's video, so thank you guys so much for watching. Like I said earlier in the video, if you enjoyed this build, make sure to drop a like on the video, as well as if you have any builds you want to see, just comment them below. But it's pretty much it for today, so thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you next time.